The Twisted and the Twilight is 1 day away from launch, but we're already kind of poised to start speculating on what the next DLC is. We've already gotten confirmation from Grace that we will be getting one more DLC for Total War Warhammer 2, and a lot of people have speculated a number of things. So this really quick video today is looking at something that is kind of under our noses, or that's going to be under our noses tomorrow, and talk about it a little bit. This is baseless speculation. I have got nothing to base this on other than what I'm seeing on Ghoritch, which we're going to take a look at in just a second here. It's just simply one ability, and if you want to shut the video down after you see the ability, by all means go for it. I don't blame you. I just really want to talk about some things that this could lend itself to. So with Ghoritch, we will be getting this new legendary hero for Clan Molder, but he has this one ability called Blood Shield, and let's look at the flavor text for it in the lower left corner. To his loyal followers, the Lord of Murder's bellows of rage that echo throughout the multiverse strengthen them against cowardly sorceries. So what interests me the most about this flavor text is that it's race agnostic. You know, it doesn't say anything about Ghoritch when all of his other flavor text does say Ghoritch. All of his weapon or item abilities pretty much just say Ghoritch does this, Ghoritch will do that, Ghoritch, Ghoritch, Ghoritch. But this is the only one that just outright doesn't mention him at all. So what this could possibly lend itself to are one of two things. Warriors of Chaos or Beastmen, or even both, I guess. So there's a third option, rework. Now, we know that Beastmen are the last old world race to not be touched outside of the Warriors of Chaos. So seeing them alongside each other in a DLC pack would be pretty interesting. A lot of people seem to think that it will be Dark Elves. There's nothing to base that on. Some people have said, hey, you know, Will said this in a specific stream, and if that's what he said, like, hey, it's going to be Dark Elves, and I'm all for that. But for the most part, we don't have any real confirmation of if this is going to be a Game 1 and a Game 1 race, or a Game 2 and a Game 1 race, or a Game 2 and a Game 2 race. So since I think Beastmen are the most likely candidate for our next old world update in a DLC, I think that this ability, Blood Shield, could lend itself to so many possibilities. I mean, let's take a look at just Tarox the Brass Bull. He himself is heavily geared towards Khorne, if that wasn't obvious enough. Even if we look at someone like Valkia the Bloody, both of these bring Khorne to the table in a very big way that the Warriors of Chaos and Beastmen have not had. We've had presence of Tzeentch, we have had presence of Slaanesh in both, and we kind of have some mingling of Nurgle through some portions of the game. But I'd say that Khorne doesn't really have any representation across either faction at all. And this Blood Shield thing, even with the way it talks about stuff, Lord of Murder, so on and so forth, it does kind of give that nod to the innate magic resistance that you see in a lot of the 8th edition, 6th edition, and 7th edition rules for Warriors of Chaos and Demons of Chaos. When we look at the Brass Collar of Khorne, we see that it infers a magic resistance buff. I think it's 2. And then when we look at Karnak's brass, his special collar of Khorne, basically, he's the Khorne Hound that is going to give him a magic resistance of 3. So this Blood Shield could be basically CA's way of taking those abilities and throwing them into the game. Now, what's cool about this Blood Shield is it's not relegated solely to the model. When you look at the Collars of Khorne or the one for Karnak, it is simply that model that gets that buff. The Blood Shield is an aura. It's basically like Guardian, but not applying strictly to lords and heroes and not giving a physical resistance. This is magic resistance, 15% in a 55-meter radius around self and allies in range. And it's a hero ability, so this could tell you that maybe we'll be seeing some form of Khorne possible hero with Warriors of Chaos or Beastmen. Now, CA is very apt to hiding things in plain sight a lot of the time, and this might be their hint towards stuff for the future. Again, I'm really big on hyping things up for possible speculation of future DLC, because I love to do it. I love to kind of get that train going and thinking about what we could possibly be getting ourselves into. I do think that this is a bit of a stretch, so I mean, you are completely right in thinking that maybe it's a harebrained idea, but I think that looking at just the Beastmen alone, bringing in Tarox and bringing in Doom Bulls, Gore Bulls, which I mean I know we already have, but expanding the bowls themselves and also bringing us into god-flavored gores is going to be pretty awesome, or would be pretty awesome if they decided to take that step. We know we're going to possibly be getting, well, we know we're going to get Demons of Chaos in Warhammer 3 in some way, shape, or form, because they said that they're going to be adding in all races to the game that had a book. So Warriors of Chaos is a natural lead-in. Or I'm sorry, Demons of Chaos is a natural lead-in in Game 3. So this could kind of prime us for god options in Game 3. We already kind of get that in Norska, right? Where you can pretty much dedicate raised buildings to specific idols, which are representative of their respective chaos god. You know, Hound, for example, is Khorne in the Norska quote-unquote pantheon, but not really a pantheon, but you get it. And I think that this is a really cool way to kind of test some features, maybe. Say, okay, well, let's take a look at what we're working on with Warhammer 3. Let's say that we've got, let's just look at the Blood Shield, for example. Maybe this is going to be a new Khorne hero ability. Let's assume it's actually going to happen, and it's going to be a chaos aspiring champion of Khorne, not even exalted, right? Exalted would be that lord level. So aspiring chaos champion. He's a hero level and he gets Blood Shield. Let's see how it's received. Let's see how it actually plays itself out in the game once we get it out to the masses. And maybe we tweak this now for Warhammer 3 and say that, okay, for the Chaos Demons, we're not going to give them Blood Shields. Maybe it just was too broken, or maybe it just wasn't really that effective and it ended up kind of becoming a lackluster ability. So I could see this as being something that leads itself into a wealth of possible information and changes for Warhammer 3. I'm very big on thinking that these last two DLCs, this one, Twisted and Twilight, and the next one, are probably some form of tester for certain mechanics that they want to try in Game 3. There's been so many things that they've kind of taken and fleshed out even more and more and more. I mean, the Flesh Labs would be a really good example of something that was taken in its basis form in the, not to be confused with an actual bass guitar, that'd be a bassist, in its base form in the Clan Scryer laboratory, and then taken and said, well, we can make this even more interesting by adding effectively a talent tree to it with our monster and unit abilities, and then tweak it out a little bit. Okay, boom, here we have the Flesh Labs. So it seems like every time they add a mechanic, they'll duplicate that mechanic and make it even better in a later iteration into the game. So this is kind of, again, my harebrained idea. This is very baseless speculation on Blood Shield possibly being the under our nose hint towards a Beastmen and or Chaos DLC in the future. I think that both races need it so bad. I mean, when you take a look at the roster in a custom battle, Warriors of Chaos is the only one that just simply has Warriors of Chaos with no sub-faction underneath it. So it's just grim. And on top of it, the Warriors of Chaos haven't gotten touched since their inception as a pre-order DLC at the launch of Total War Warhammer 1. At least Call of the Beastmen is a later form DLC, and it almost has a complete roster. It doesn't. We are clearly aware of the things that are missing. I'm looking at you, Gorgon, and Jabber's Life. But I would really love to see the Blood Shield and more God-specific things brought into Total War Warhammer 1 and 2 via this DLC. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know the real big front runner right now is Dark Elves versus Beastmen, and to me that just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's not enough in the Dark Elf roster to really make a good DLC, in my opinion. What are your options here? You got Tularis, Dreadbringer, you got Khorne, and you've got Rakarth. And for the most part, those guys are just not necessarily as compelling as, say, like a Malice Darkblade. You could do Shadowblade. You know, we got Snikch as a legendary lord, so Shadowblade could be cool. But I think that if there was a Dark Elf DLC, it would have to have a ton of CA homebrewed units, which I think kind of takes the fun a little bit out of a DLC when you get a ton of homebrew. It's cool, but I think half the fun of seeing a DLC is seeing a roster complete with things that you missed from 6th, 7th, 8th edition army books. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this. Again, I do know it's a harebrained idea. I know this is baseless, but when I saw this doing the unit guide for the Skaven, I really got my brain churning on, okay, is this it? Is this their hint towards us possibly getting like a Valkia the Bloody, or corn-flavored Gores, or Tarox himself? Like, what does this really possibly mean, if anything? It could just simply be they just chose Blood Shield, and we know that Ghoritch himself is a Khorne Norscan tribesman whose brain has been slapped into a rat ogre. So there is that backstory that exists, and it might have been something as simple as that, and they said, yeah, it's just a Khorne backstory for the guy, like, calm down. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.